Yeah, right. Come on now. If you wanna go and take a ride with me, with three willing in the four with the goldies. Oh, why do I live this way? Hey, must be the money. If you wanna go.
So Corrections Corporation of America, the country's largest for-profit prison company, is admitting that in Ohio they falsified records to make it seem like they were employing staff for longer hours when they really weren't. Now, the reason why they were doing that is because they have a contract with the state. The taxpayers actually end up paying Corrections Corporation of America because even though it's a private prison company, the state pays for it anyway because they're supposed to save the state money. But no, they're lying about the number of hours their employees are working, and as a result, taxpayers are paying them money for absolutely nothing.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Progress recently reported a story about how the Corrections Corporation of America charges its inmates $5 a minute to make phone calls to their lawyers and family members. At the same time, they pay their inmates $1 for a full day of work.
When there's something this directly, offset here, then the point is they don't want you making any calls to your attorneys. They don't want anyone else knowing what's going on in there. I mean, let's take it for what it is. It seems like if people are in lockdown and they're not allowed to do anything, even talk to anyone, even speak to anyone, family, let alone your attorney, then that's the whole point of it. You're locked off from society in all aspects of life. And then you're working. This is the thing I was amazed about. You're working in prison. They're paying you. And where are you going to spend that money? It's like they're not paying you. They're like, okay, so I'm going to pay you $10. After you pay those $10, just come and buy some snacks, maybe some food, whatever else you may be able to buy with this $10, and you pay it right back to me. What's the point of even giving them any money?
Yeah.
I don't see the benefit of this. I mean, I see the benefit for them.
Right.
They get free labor in the prison, but I don't see how this isn't a big. I mean, we have a controversy now, but a big controversy as far as they're just paying them for nothing. Where are you spending your money?
Well, what ends up happening is, in these private prisons, there are some people who are diabetic, there are some people who have certain health issues, and one of the inmates is complaining that he is diabetic and he needs a certain amount of food, right? Nothing unreasonable, he just needs a certain type of food and a certain amount of food in order to survive. And what happens is, one of these private prisons that he is in now doesn't give him what he needs. So what does he do? He uses the little tiny bit of money he makes in the prisons to buy the food that he needs, which is so egregious, right? And his wife has to give him money, send him money so he can pay for additional food. By the way, these private prisons receive $200 a day for each inmate, okay? And they make between $35 to $50 million in profit each year. So these are highly profitable prisons. They're making a ton of money, and at the same time, they're charging their inmates $5 a minute to make a simple phone call to their lawyer.
So what this does, it also, I mean, obviously, this can't be the only way a lot of, at least I don't know the percentages, of course, but how a lot of inmates end up getting what they need. You have family members putting money in some account or something like that, and then that's the only way they can get any kind of access to anything. Now, the prison is also, in a way, imprisoning your family members. I didn't do anything wrong, and if your cousin's in jail and you put $100 in their account, it's going back to the prison. Like, they got me locked up now. They got my bank account locked up.
In a lot of cases, people who are imprisoned and then later on are let go, their families have to pay for that in the end because that former inmate isn't going to find a well-paying job to pay off that debt of being in a prison. You have to pay for being in prison. It's not like you're in prison for free and everything is fine. Later on, you're slapped with a huge bill. That happens with juvenile detention centers as well. I'm sure there are exceptions, but in most cases, either the family or the inmate is expected to pay a certain amount of money at the end. So it's a disaster. And these private prisons, look, there's not enough outrage about it.
In the video, what we see is one inmate, James Haver, brutally attacking Hani Elabad while 4 guards watch this brutal attack on the outside of the room. While they are watching this attack, Hani, who is on the floor, is reaching toward the windows where the guards are watching in an attempt that looks like a cry for help. And James Haver actually takes a break, sits down, and then Mr. Haver gets up and continues beating Mr. Elabad so badly that we know now Mr. Elabad has been released from prison because he has brain damage. Mr. Elabad's beating is not an isolated situation. When prisons are privately run, there's less accountability, there's less transparency, and the motive, the sheer motive, is profits. Unless we stop the privatization of prisons, we'll continue to see inmates brutally beaten. We'll continue to see the lack of transparency and accountability. And as a result of these brutal beatings, we will be releasing people who have become more violent and worse criminals onto American streets. The ACLU of Idaho and the ACLU are suing the Corrections Corporation of America for the way that they run the Idaho Correctional Center. In the complaint, we allege that violence is being used as a management tool with inmates. What we are hoping to get out of the suit is that the facility will be run in accordance with federal regulations and brought up to constitutional standards because people go to prison as punishment, not for punishment.
He's climbing in your windows. He's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they're raping everybody out here.
Bad boys, what you gonna do?